you have overcome this beautifully. What would you recommend to some people who have this conversation in their head, who are always looking at, if I do this, what if this happens? What if, what if, what if? And the baseline of it is probably from fear.
Right.
How do you suggest we handle that?
Well, for the person who comes along and allows them, I believe in planning. I believe in putting a few what ifs happen, but you have to have an answer for the what if. You put a what if and have an answer for it. I don't see a problem in that. But if you allow yourself to be overcome with your failures or the views of the failures, you have more what ifs than you have answers for, then you need to revamp your plan. You need to focus in another direction, because I can what if and tuck my tail all day long. I can find excuses of why I couldn't have made it to this interview. It was too much traffic, the car wasn't running right, I didn't feel well today, I saw this horrendous accident. I can what if all day long. But you're going to have some what ifs, but the ones that you come up with, you've got to have in your plan, have an answer for them. Just like my what ifs, for example. Well, what if I don't make any money for 30 days? Like they said, what if I don't make any money in 60 days or 90 days? Well, what am I going to do? I've got to have an answer for that. Those are the what ifs. But what ifs within the business themselves? What if somebody throws me out? Okay, well, it's going to happen. What if I don't get the deal? It's going to happen. You've got to your what ifs, I would say to the average person to take their what ifs and turn your what ifs into learning experiences. So that when they come, the what if comes again, you'll have an answer for it. But there's certain ones that you have to put in your plan, as I did. Like, what if I don't make any money in 90 days? Like this course says I'm going to make money, or 30 days, or whatever. The number is unlimited. It's a roller coaster. Depends on what channel you're on for that night. So the what ifs that I would pay attention to are the ones that, like money wise, what am I going to do if I don't make any money? What if, what am I going to do if I buy this course and the course doesn't even come? Things like that. But as far as the business itself, you've got to turn those into learning experiences and move on. There's two ways to get started. One with money, one without money, meaning spendable cash to invest into this new venture into real estate. So there's two ways to get in, with money and without. But all in all, I don't know if there's any one magical way to get in with no money. Like you hear most gurus say, you can buy real estate with no money and no credit. And it's true, you can buy with no credit. But with absolutely no money, I think that's a small white lie. You do need money. You need startup money, money for like business cards, money for to travel, money that you're away from your job, so it may be costing you money. So you do need a little bit, be ready to put some money, some small money. And I say small because some people's vision of small is different than others. So a little bit of money to purchase some business cards so you can start leaving that around and things. But to get started, I would recommend to get you some business cards. Start trying to create a buyers and get your buyers list where you got people to, once you get a property under contract or get a homeowner that's interested in selling their house to you, you have somebody, a cash buyer with the cash to buy the house from you. So you need to start getting a buyers list and start looking for people in general that sell you their house. Now, how do you do that? I think the way I did it, and I think I haven't come up with a easier or faster way than this, is I attend auctions. I started off looking on Google, go to Google in whatever state or city you're in, and Google home auctions. And all these lawyers and law firms are going to pop up that represent banks and whoever's selling their house. And you can easily call them up and ask them, when is the next auction? And what are you going to be selling? I'm an investor. How do I ask questions? You can do that over the phone. How do I attend one of your auctions? And what kind of properties do you generally sell? And where are they at? Vice versa. You can Google that. There's only about 10,000 of them that'll come up on a Google page after page after page. So the limit is unlimited. Get to the auctions and you'll start to get familiar with the process. Again, once you start to do something, you do it over and over and over again, you have no other choice but to get better. So start going to the auctions to meet buyers. While you're at the auction, try to, be sure to, you would, starting out blank in your city, not knowing anything, having the right real estate agent working with you certainly won't hurt anything. If you can find a real estate agent that understands what you're trying to do, which is be a real estate investor, not just, purchase a house for you and your family, but you're looking for an agent to help you facilitate your new real estate investing business. The best place that I have found to find those agents are the auctions. Go to the auction. They're there. They understand the terminology. Ask around. Some of the buyers that you find, ask them. The only way to learn this business is to get into it. But nobody was born with the knowledge, I'm born to be a real estate agent, I don't need any help from anybody. Somebody had to tell any and everything that you know, somebody had to tell you or show you. Nobody was born with the knowledge of an expert real estate agent. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Get in to the auction. That's the fastest, easiest, most affordable way to get the ball rolling. Find your real estate agent. Find your buyer. If you can't find an agent, you'll certainly find buyers because that's who are at the auction. Ask them about real estate agents. If you don't find anybody there, go to some brokers and ask. Pass out your cards. Start getting the ball moving. As far as contractors, you need a list of, unless you are a contractor or you got that blood in you, or a family member or a friend or somebody that can go out to some of these properties with you, that agent that you contact is going to start giving you access to, meeting you at some of these houses to let you in some of these houses. That's why another reason it's important to get an agent, because you need access to some of the properties. Or if you're going to go to the auction, of course, you can get in the house free easily because the doors are open and the house is about to be auctioned off. But you want to get yourself a list of properties that you can take your new contractor person with. You can take them to the house with you so that they can start giving you an estimate of what it's going to cost to rehab a house. So you need to know in order to sell a house to someone, you need to know what the house is worth. If after it's all prettied up, it's called rehab. If it's finished, you need to know what it's worth. You need to know what it's going to cost to make it pretty, to rehab it, what it's going to cost to replace the kitchen or fix the walls or electrical. You need to know these things. You don't have to be a rocket science. You don't have to have carpentry in your blood. What you do have to have is the connections, and it's easy and it's free to do that. And again, it starts with me, the auction, because everybody you're looking for, the footprints, the route starts at auctions, because everybody's there in one big circle. It's not you have to go here, everybody's in one big place. Fastest way to get a contractor. Some people say that, and I agree with this, after you gain a relationship, that you should pay your contractors for their time. I agree with that, but only after you gain a relationship with someone. Because there's so many people. One contractor can tell you one price and another can tell you something totally different. What I did was this. I went to, I guess there's Home Depot and Lowe's and Ace and stores like that all the way across the country. I know Home Depots across the country. Every Home Depot, Monday through Saturday, not so much Sunday, but Monday through Saturday, if you get up and go to the Home Depot at between 7 and 9, and you go to, it's all there. There's the entrance for Home Depot. I don't know so much about Lowe's, but Home Depot, there's an entrance that we all go into. But the other side, it says at the top, at every store, it says contractor. If you ever read it, if you look at the top, it'll say contractor. On that entrance, it's generally the one to the far right where all the supplies are at. And if you look over there, if you go in the morning, the parking lot looks like you could almost start a small auto dealership with the number of vans that are sitting over there. And each one of those vans are driven by a licensed contractor. if you go over there with your cards, they're for hire. They're there to make money. They're there to pick up material for the projects that they're working on, and they certainly wouldn't hesitate to take on another job. So if you go over there, introduce yourself, that you're an investor and you're getting ready to start purchasing some properties. You want to get a good team of contractors to call upon to do the work, contract out to do the work, to do the rehabs on these properties that you're going to start purchasing. And you have one now that you want someone to start looking at to give you an estimate. This is a quick way of learning how much stuff costs. What I did is exactly that, but I put a little twist on it. I went to a Home Depot and got 5 different contractors that spoke English, that we could communicate, because a lot of them don't speak English. They speak whatever language but English. But I got 5 hard contractors. And I called those 5 contractors up the following weekend after I got access to a property through a real estate agent, a property that I knew that needed to be rehabbed, because it's important that you get as many contacts as you can. Or if you can't find a property, wait for the next auction and use that property. But it's better to have a property that you control and have an agent that's working with you. And what I generally did, what I did for myself, what I did was got access to the property, had the contractors every hour, a different one meet me at the property. Is what I did. So I said, look, the worst number in team is 1. So I need to build me a team. So I said, I'm going to build me a team of contractors. I figure if I hear from 5 different people look at the same kitchen on the same day, am I going to get 5 different opinions? I probably will, but they'll still be in the ballpark. If one is totally off, I know he was ripping me off. So we'll take him out of the equation. But for the most part, I'll go and the guys will say, well, to build this kitchen up is going to cost $4 grand. Another one may say 45. One may say 35. But I got the general idea that it costs to put a kitchen that's a 5 by 10. It's going to cost me $4 grand to fix that kitchen. How do I know? Because I just heard it from 5 different licensed contractors. And I just go around the whole house with those 5 guys and let them tell me, this is what it's going to cost to fix this house up. An estimate. Now, generally what they do is take notes and they'll send you the estimate back in about a day or 2. But I want the verbal agreement. I want the estimate as well, but I want the verbal agreement so I can move forward, move past that part. When I get the actual contract back in my hand, it's gold, because now I take those contracts with me until I can memorize them. I take them with me when I go to the next house. And because all the numbers are there, the contractor wrote it out. The kitchen was, the measurements were this, and this is what it costs to fix that. So when I go into the next house, guess what I got with me on my next house when I don't have the contract? I got my ruler, so I'm measuring it, and it's close to the number that they just wrote down. So I said, well, okay, it's it costs $4 grand to fix this kitchen. This one is almost the same size, or if it's bigger, maybe it costs a little bit more. But I'm getting an estimate. I don't have to be exact because I'm just wholesaling the house. So the person that has to be exact is the person I'm going to wholesale this house to, the buyer. He or she is the one that has to be exact. So I just got a general idea of what it costs so I can negotiate the price on this property. So now I know what it's going to cost to fix the house. How do I know how much the house is worth? It goes back to that agent that you got. They'll take a lot of the work away from you. Have them tell you what the property's worth, but you got to have an agent that knows the business. You can't have one that it's like you and Steve, you, her, or you or them, and Stevie Wonder, all y'all in the car, and he driving. So that's just not going to work. You got to have one that that's experienced. And if at the auction, you'll know. I mean, because if they talk better than you, then obviously they know more than you. If you're asking them questions and they coming back with another question, then maybe, it's the blind leading the blind. So maybe you need to find another knowledgeable agent. But they're out there. You just got to find them. Look at the auctions, find buyers, find agents at the auctions. If you don't find any agents there, ask the buyers who they use. So it's not impossible. It's not like someone's trying to hide underneath a rock. They're there, but you gotta reach out and try to make contact with them. All right. So you got an agent to help you. You get a property, you got a contractor, so you can find out what the estimates are. And if you're not comfortable with it, you can just still go get you some more contractors. Have them meet you at a property when you're ready to put an offer on one that your agent is referring to you. And have them just walk to the house and tell you what it's going to cost. The agent has already told you at this point the house is worth, let's just use round numbers, 100,000. You've met the contractor that you picked up at Home Depot at the property, and he's selling you it's going to cost 40,000 to fix the house up. That agent told you the house is worth 200,000. So now all you got to do is know how to count a little bit. House is worth 200. It cost what did I say? 40,000 to fix the house up. So now we know at 200 we got to subtract the 40. Now we're at 160. Now that means how much can I sell the house for? I'm only working with 160,000 after we fix the house up, and it's worth 200. But I'm only working with 160. And that's before I buy the property. You can take notes. The person should take notes with this. But let's say the bank, or whoever owns the property is asking for 150,000. That's not a deal because there's only 10 grand left. Who are you going to sell it to? Nobody's going to buy it. But if they said that they may want 100,000, there's $60,000 left into the house. It's not a great deal because you have to, another phase is borrowing hard money, and there's fees you have to account for, but that's another day. But for right now, you could always put an offer on the property and make sure you mark it up enough to make a little bit of money to cover your fees, like your LLC that you may get, and that's another seminar segment as well. But if you want to make $5,000, so I would sell the house. Again, if it's worth 160, I got 40 grand worth of rehab in it. And I know I got to pay 100 grand for the house, so I would try to wholesale the house for 145,000. That would be enough to cover the rehab costs. That would be enough to cover the purchase price, and $5,000 for me. And then when the person sells the house, they're going to make their what's left over? 145, 55, 65, 40. What's that? $55,000 that they make. So it'd be interesting and for everybody. And that's how I would come up with the calculations to be able to put an offer out for someone who is just starting from zero. All this can be accomplished, and depending on how aggressive you are, you can do all of this in a week's time. Jump out and go do it. You can find an agent. If there's no auction there, I'm pretty sure there's real estate brokers offices in every city and state in the country. You can just start tomorrow, get you some business cards and start going to the offices. Ask around for a real estate agent that's familiar with real estate investing, and you want to get that person on your team. And then have them kind of show you the ropes, and guess what they're going to charge you? Or what if you're willing to pay, but you don't have to pay anything. They'll probably ask you for representation. They want you to sign up to be their they want to be your agent so that they'll ensure that they get a commission because they want to get paid. Everybody, they want to get paid. I wouldn't necessarily, until you get your feet wet, I wouldn't necessarily sign up with anyone right away. Get your feet wet, visit a few offices. Don't necessarily go with the first one out the gate. But if it means that you have to sign with a good agent that you have done your due diligence and interviewed and interviewed them and interviewed a couple more, so you can kind of, just like the contractors, you're interviewing them. So you do the same thing with the agents. Interview them. You go to a couple of offices. Some ask some questions that you like and some won't, and you'll take the one that you think is the most knowledgeable. Now that's your agent. If they don't work out, then you can always go back and fire them and get someone else. But you got to get out there. First things first is I would line up some agents and contractors and get out there and start looking at some properties. That doesn't cost anything. That's the first thing to do. I would start off by affiliating myself with an agent that understands real estate investing, not just an agent that's want to put you in their car and take you around town all day, listen to their music and suck up their air and heat. I'd get one that's interested and knows real estate investing. That's exactly how I would present it. I'm going to the little person, the young lady at the front desk or guy. I'm your name, and I'm looking for a real estate real estate agent to represent me in doing some real estate investing deals. That's it. That's exactly what I would say at the front counter. Google auctions. Start going to those in your city. All these things can be started today by Googling, and tomorrow going out and looking at setting up a few interviews with a few licensed agents in your state.
Now, when you did all of this, how long did it take you from starting to actually getting your first deal done?
Well, good question. It took me. Remember, remember as I said, you got to have a plan. Plan that this is not going to, and this is real estate. Anybody that tells you it's going to happen tomorrow, you start the day and everything's peaches and cream tomorrow. It's not going to turn out that way. This is a process. It's like anything else. You're building a business. It's just not going to turn key tomorrow. So don't expect overnight results. I think it's going to take each individual and city and state where you are. A lot of that determines how long it's going to take. Now, if you're out in the middle of Mayberry somewhere, it's going to take a little bit longer because your playing field is what it is. You got one house every 10 acres. But if you're in a hot city where people, it's a young city, people moving in, people moving out, people moving in. I just riding down the street, you see this house for sale, you see that house for sale. You're in a hot market, and when you start interviewing your agents, they'll let you know what kind of market you're in. This is kind of laid back Mayberry, or this is where it's at. It's a hot area, and you live there, so you should know a little bit about your community. How long is it going to take? That determines a point. That has a lot to determine how long it's going to take. How long did it take me here in Washington, D.C.? It took me, I came in November, skeptical. I had my plan. In November of 2000 and, what is this, 13? So I came in November of 2012. I really dedicated myself at that point and started
2011.
2011. I'm sorry. And 2011, and I really started dedicating myself then. Still a little skeptical about it, and a little scared to take the leap. Like anybody else, a little nervous, but I knew that this. I truly believe if I stick with my plan, which included bumps, bruises, falling, being knocked down, which included all of that. That what did I have to lose? I already accounted for all the ups and downs for the most part, and there may be a few surprises in between, but I've calculated for that. I'm not expecting this to take me and I'll be financially secured in the next 90 days, like they say. I'm not expecting that because it's generally too good to be true, and that's generally what it is. It took me about 3.5 months. 3.5 months. So it took me over 90 days, let's say over 100 days to come up with my first deal to say, okay, we'll accept your deal. Now that was another whole rule, another ball of rules. Now what do I do? They accept my deal. Now what do I do? Where do I go from here? I got to call those buyers back again, and hopefully do they want to buy this house anymore, or are they ready to buy it? What do I do?
So did you, when you got started, so you have the contractor, you've got your business cards, you've got the agent, did you have to create a company before you went out and found the agents and put out the offers, or were you just putting them out as, Howard Johnson? I mean, what did you do to prepare to actually put an offer out?
I would recommend that you put your offers in an LLC. To do this business, you don't have to have an LLC. Like some people say and people push, you don't have to have an LLC. But I would recommend an LLC because your name doesn't have to go on anything. Everything is behind the LLC in whatever city or state that you're in. That way, when you write the contracts, you're writing them in an LLC name instead of your own name. It's separating you from what you're doing, your business, your new business, your real estate business. You're separating yourself, your personals from all your business transactions. But you don't have to, but I recommend it. You don't have to, though.
Okay. Have you get a deal under contract, you put an offer out in your LLC, you've gone, you found a buyer. Have you ever been ripped off or not gotten paid by a buyer when you were getting started?
Well, no, I haven't personally, but this is what I mean by putting your team together, interviewing your real estate agent, and them helping you facilitate and putting this whole deal together. they're a licensed professional, and it's up to you to interview them and make sure you got a good professional, because there's a lot of agents, out here that there's a lot of cops. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones. There's a lot of agents, there's some good ones, there's some bad ones. So it's up to you to interview them and make sure you got somebody that's good on your team. How do you know you got somebody good? Interview multiple ones, and you'll know. Interview your agent and make sure you have the best that you're in your city or within reach for you, and one that you're comfortable with. And because you're gonna essentially, you're still new at this. You're gonna, I guess with the course, between the course and your agent, that's gonna be your guide, your drivers. So you're gonna put some trust in them between the two. So make sure that your agent is knowledgeable and can help you avoid things like not getting paid. But once the contract is in your name, in order for someone else to get the contract, you're going to be assigning it over to them. And assigning the contract over to them, you're signing it for a fee. So another thing I left out was you want to ask some of the buyers that you meet, ask the real estate agent for a good title company that you can work with. One that comes referred to you that works with people that are doing investing like you are. And a title company is a company that oversees the real estate transaction from one person to another, ownership, and they make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So you kind of asked about getting ripped off from a buyer. A buyer comes up and somehow under the mat rips you off. Well, between your licensed real estate agent and the title company that was referred to you by either that agent or another buyer, they should have enough knowledge, and at least you got to trust in someone, but dot your I's and cross your T's yourself. Between your agent, the program that you're following, and the license and the title company, I think you'll have enough people you'll have more people on your corner than I had when I got started. So you'll be okay as far as getting your money and not getting ripped off. If you get ripped off between the marketing company, the real estate agent, and the title company, I think you need to reevaluate everything. Get out of that and get away from all of them and start all over. Yeah, but surround yourself with good people, interview them, and how do you know you're interviewing them right? Interview multiple people. That's it. There's a lot of real estate agents, a lot of title companies. Interview people and make sure that you guys are on the same page, and you guys have the same goal, and take the bull by the horn. But all those things are free, other than your time and a little bit of money, because you got to take off from work. That's money. Because if you ain't at work, you're not making any money. I guess you got your leave or whatever you call it. Business cards. You may take your agent out to lunch. So for me, it's going to take you a little bit of money, spending money that you probably spend for less than what the average person spends per month for lunch. This is what it'll take you. So I don't know what the lunches are, but not Ruth Chris, but McDonald's. What you spend per month is what the initial cost to get started the way I'm describing is what it'll cost you. What you spend at McDonald's. So.
So what's the difference? Would you recommend to somebody starting out to try and just focus on properties that are on the MLS, or to go after properties that aren't listed by an agent?
Well, I would recommend both. And if you haven't, it's not the all to be all, but I would recommend you affiliated with a licensed, understanding real estate investor agent, and have them send you the appropriate properties. Now, they don't, meaning properties that they know needs to be rehabbed, properties that they know are not being sold to the average home buyer, like a new home buyer who's just out of school and they're looking for a home, or a family that's looking to upgrade, or a family that's looking to go down. They're looking to a turnkey, like this lovely home. They're looking for a turnkey, but you're not looking for that. And your agent if they think anything different, get another agent. But they know that you're looking for houses that are ugly, that need to look like this one. It's called a rehab. They know you're looking for those properties that need to be rehabbed. They can send you houses from the MLS. And then you do the due diligence, meaning you and your contractor, you know how much the house is, you know how much they're asking for the house because your agent sent it to you. Then you ask your agent how much is the house worth. So now you know how much it's worth and you know how much they're asking for. Now you and your agent go out, and you and your licensed contractor go out to the property and see what the work is going to cost to pretty the house back up and bring it back to life. So now you have all three elements. You know how much they're asking for the house, you know how much it's worth, and you know how much it's going to cost to fix the house up.
So
For free. You know, all that, it doesn't cost you anything to do any of that.
So when you do for the earnest money deposit, is there a difference? Yeah, the EMD. Is there a difference in the cost of an EMD when you're putting an offer in on an MLS property, or versus a property that's not listed?
When you're putting an offer on a property that is not listed, let's say you were walking the neighborhood, as I said earlier, and you putting out flyers and someone calls you and you want to write a contract on their particular house. You're doing everything, you're just leaving the agent out. Same steps, just the agent is left out. I would recommend starting the process with the agent so you can familiarize yourself with the steps that need to be taken and what to do and what not to do, so you don't get burned. But once you get that down, you start putting on some offers. You'll get familiar over time. It takes time.
So when talking about money, how much money you need to get started, let's just talk about the agent side, right? You're putting in offers on multiple listing service properties. When I've looked at those properties, it seems like the earnest money deposits on those are $1,000, $1,500 to get started, versus you were saying you do $100 on a property that's not listed. So what if I don't have that $1,000 or that $1,500 EMD or earnest money for the multiple listing service properties? How could I get around that?
Well, using the properties that are being sent to you by your licensed agent are on the MLS. They're being represented by another agent on the seller side, the person who owns the house. They have a licensed agent that's representing them, and they're following the advice of that licensed agent. And they set the perimeter. They're the homeowners. They set the perimeter. They're going to say, well, the agent's going to probably recommend to the homeowner what they think is a fair EMD, earnest money deposit. And then the homeowner has their total faith and trust in that licensed agent. So they're going to do exactly what that agent says. The agent says, tell everybody to put up $1,000 EMD. So the perimeter is, the rules are set. I'm the seller and I'm selling the house for this amount of money, and this is what I want as an earnest money deposit. And all that, 90% of that education comes from the licensed agent that is representing the seller. When you're doing it yourself, remember, there's no agent. So there's nobody telling the seller, this is what you should do. You should list the house for this amount of money. You should ask for this much as an earnest money deposit. Only show the house during these times of the day. There's nobody educating them on that. All they know is they have a house that needs a little fixing up, and they need to sell it. And most of them are thinking that they can't afford a real estate agent, or they don't want to pay a real estate agent. So they're going to do this on their own. So what they're leaving out is the education that they would get from a licensed agent. So little things like, I want $1,000 EMD or $2,000, whatever it is. That part is left out. So when coming to someone like myself or a newbie investor, when you're coming to this person, both you and the homeowner with no agent, it's free land. You're going to give your demands and they're going to give theirs.